Hi everybody, it's me again, Charles Norman, Sports Solutions LLC. We are the creators of AthleticSOS. It is a piece of software that if your child is trying to get an athletic scholarship, you want to use our software. Absolutely no cost to you guys. Down below in the description, I give you a code. I give you instructions for use the code. It's the best piece of software out there at this point. We've expanded it so much. It's a really great piece of software. For you guys that are actually listening to me, it's the only way you can get to our software is if you came through a partner that we have. It could be a high school, it could be a travel club program, it could be a nonprofit. There's a bunch of different people that we work with. Otherwise, you'd have to see this video. Someone would have to send it to you, and then you'd have to get that code. And then down below, I also give you a link that kind of shows you what AthleticSOS, how it works. We think it's the best thing out there. We've been improving it. We've got some extra features in there. Take a look at it. If it makes sense for you, please go ahead and use it. So today, I want to talk a little bit about the idea that can you secure an athletic scholarship without losing or destroying your integrity, what you're all about as an individual, as a parent. And this is a big deal. Can you do it on your own terms is another way to look at it. And so I want to kind of go through this because I've been hearing more and more and more. I go to a lot of meetings and I'm in a lot of Zoom calls for groups that are trying to fix youth sports. And so a lot of times we get in these conversations, but we never really get personal. We talk about the organizations that are around sports. We talk about the referees. We talk about the parents' behaviors. We talk about the kids getting burned out. We talk about all of that stuff, but we never talk about how do you actually get there? Because it's so competitive, right? There's only a limited number of athletic scholarship opportunities. How do you do that without losing your integrity as who you are, as a human being? So let's just go from the start. Let's forget about the parents that have played professionally or played at high level college or any college for that matter, played Olympics, were the superstar in their high school team. They kind of navigated this before. They know what's going on. For you guys, it's a little different. Those are choices that you're making. But what about the parent that knows nothing? Just haven't been around it. Their kids 5, 6 years old, and they're like, we need to burn some energy out here. We need to get them out there physically to get some teamwork. All the tenets of youth sports: teamwork, discipline, learning how to work with others, all of the stuff that comes with sports, right? Learning how to take a loss, how to be a gracious winner, all of that stuff, right? So that's what you're trying to do. You're just trying to get them out there. And then your kid goes out there and whatever sport they're playing, they are pretty talented. And so they make the all-star team. And then that all-star team plays, they come together after the season. So you've gone through that whole season, your kid's doing great. They make the all-star team. And when you make the all-star team, it's going to expand that out maybe 2 or 3 more weeks. And so your kid's on the all-star team and they do great there. So this is a local, you're playing against all the little regional areas. And then they're so good at the all-star team that they make that all-star team for that all-star situation. And now these kids are going to play regionally and maybe they're going to spread out a little bit. And so it stretches it out another 3 or 4 weeks. And so your kid's playing at a pretty high level, but now you guys are all burned out, right? You've gone another 6 weeks since the regular season ended. And so it's kind of over with there. And your kids even excelled at that second level. And what's going to end up happening is you're going to go home a few weeks later, you're going to get a phone call. It's going to be some travel club, or it's going to be somebody in that other organization saying, hey, we got this invite. And it could be you're playing an individual sport. It doesn't matter what other sports you're playing, but you've excelled. Your kids excel. Surprisingly, you didn't even know that your kid was able to do this. They haven't done anything formal in training. They just happen to have found that sport. That's why I always make a big deal that if you let your kid participate in enough sports and you know who your kid is and how they move and how they do things, that there is a sport your kid will naturally fit into. You didn't do anything extra. They just picked it up. It just is who they are. It just makes sense for them. So anyway, so you get into that. And now things start to change because now you're going into the invite level. And the invite level means that these are all the kids that did the same thing your kid did, plus some of the kids whose families or their parents played at the high level. They played professionally. They played, well, maybe not get to the professional, but they played high level college, and maybe they were really good in high school, and they've been working with their kids. And here comes your kid, a little bit raw, but just a natural talent at what they're doing. Or maybe they're not natural at that sport, but they're just athletically talented, right? That speed, the speed, the quickness, and they got the size for it. And they know how to get their body in the position that they want it in, when they want it in. That's what I call athleticism. That you can put your body where you want it, when you want it, in the position you want it. If you can do those things, your kid's going to stand out. And your kid just has a natural grace for athletics in general. And so now things start to get a little bit different. It's becoming competitive. And this is where you and your integrity and who you are as a family. And that's the other thing is, and for us, it's a big deal in my family. You have a code of conduct for your family. And I'm talking about from your front door in. That's your group. That's your nucleus. That's your husband, your wife, your kids, whatever's going on, your front door in. And you probably got a lot of your code for your family from your outside family. And this is how we keep moving forward in our family. At least that's what we always talk about it in my family, is that your code of conduct, you may not be here for your great grandkids, but some of the tenets, some of the things that you've created go with them. That's part of, this is who we are, and this is what we do in this family, that kind of thing. So anyway, so you've got all this stuff going on, but now you've got other family members, because only so many people can start. Only so many people can get invited to the next round or the next thing. And sometimes it's arbitrary on who makes it. Who's in that back room deciding who's the all-star. Who's in the back room saying, hey, we're going to invite this kid over to where we're going to be. We're going to go do this other team over here. We want them to come with us. How do you get in that room? If you're not in that room, how do you protect your kid and let them go as far as they can go and not burn them out? Where it's not your ego, because it feels really good when you're a parent and everybody's after your kid and they're slapping you on the back and you probably didn't even do anything. Your kid just happens to be talented, and you got to look out for your kid. But at some point you discover, hey, if I can keep my kid in here, if I can get them the right training, if I can get them on the right team, get them the right exposure, they keep their grades up, that we do all the things we're supposed to do, this kid may be able to play at least at the varsity at high school, but we're talking about maybe collegiately, and who knows from there, right? And you want to do what's the best and in the best interest of your kid. How do you not lose yourself in that? How do you not do the things that really the tenets of youth sports are, right? Like we talked about, you don't go step on your team. You got to be a team player if you're in a team sport. You don't cheat. You don't, if you see something that may hurt your opponent, you don't take advantage of it necessarily. You probably let them know. These are kind of things that for life that should be the code for your kids. And I'm not judging anybody because I know how it is out there. Now, I got lucky as I'm talking about all this because my wife was going with my daughter as she started to take off. And so she was taking her to all the different things. I had my son, and I was still coaching, but they were playing at that level below. Maybe they played all-star and stuff, but my daughter was going across the country. My wife was going with her, and they loved it. Or so I thought, until my daughter hit the 7th grade, and then I was driving her somewhere, and she goes, I don't want to play anymore. And so the lucky part I got, I think, for my daughter is that she was good at the game, really good at it, but it wasn't it didn't matter to her. She could play, she could not play. And she had me for a dad who would be like, okay, if you don't want to do that, then what are we going to do? Right? And so I remember that conversation we had because I pulled the car over because I said, wait a minute, I need one of you kids to get a scholarship. It really helped the family out a lot, right? At that time, there was some stuff going on. We were back with the great financial crisis time, and my hours were getting cut. A lot of things were happening back then. And so I asked her, I said, well, what's going on? And she goes, I don't want to play anymore. And they had won everything. She played basketball, girls youth basketball. And we're only in the 7th grade. And I missed whatever it was, but it wasn't her, she liked it, but she didn't love it. And so we just made the pact. I go, well, what if I coach you? And she goes, okay, if you coach, it's fine. And then she went on about her business. It wasn't even a big deal anymore. And so I coached her from the 7th and 8th grade, and we did 2 years, and we had a ball. It was a really great time doing it. And she was a star, and I got another girl that was a star, and then we started attracting some better players. I'm not a coach at that level. I remember the other coaches had all this stuff, but I know how to go and study stuff, right? So I ended up coaching her. We had a great 2 years. 9th grade, I know I could hurt the girls. So I told them, we're breaking up. They're going to high school. You guys go play on your high school team, get better coaching, and go play on one of the better teams. And so that was it for us. And then my daughter went on, and she ended up getting a scholarship. But I was completely confused from the 9th grade. My daughter really good. I'm told she might be able to play at the collegiate level. We probably need to get her on a really top level travel club team. And that's when we started to have the problems. Because now there's people that have been playing with this club team since their kids were 5, 6 years old, and they've gone through everything. My daughter's going there for the tryouts. She's really good. The travel club program, really high level travel program, wants to bring her in, but I can see the tension from the sides, from the other parents. Where are you coming from? How are you going to come skip over? This travel club program had like 5 or 6 teams, right? It's from the white team to the platinum team. I don't know. I can't remember all the coloring or whatever it was. And so my daughter was going to be on that next level down. But I am an IT person. Things have to make sense to me. And so I'm trying to figure out, if you're on the second best team, why would a college coach, why would I spend all this money to travel across the country and they're not on the best team? Because if I'm a college coach and you don't make the best team, it doesn't make sense to me. And so then I became that spoiled parent type thing. You know, the rumors start going around, oh, they think their kids all this and that. But you just have to make things make sense to me. If it doesn't make sense, then I don't do it. And so we went through this whole thing, and I got lucky because my daughter's high school coach used to be a junior college coach. So he had stopped coaching at the junior college level, came over to our high school first year, my daughter's first year. He's the new coach as she comes as a freshman because he was friends with the athletic director for the high school. And so he was just coming to lend a hand until they found a replacement for him. And he's the one that sat me down and walked me through what we needed to do to get her where she needed to be, because he was sending kids to four-year schools from his junior college year after year after year. So he knew the system. And that's what AthleticSOS is based off of. But I'm kind of drifted off, but I kind of wanted to give you a background for how I got to where I got. I wasn't any smarter than most of you guys are. And here's the funny thing about it is that the fear is it's such a short window. Every little level that you go in youth sports, you've got a year or two to make your mark, and then you got to move on. And because it's evergreen like that, there's another set of kids coming behind you. If you burn out at any point, they just push you to the side because another kid's coming in right behind you, just as talented, maybe even more talented. And so they're coming behind you. They can discard you in a minute. And now you, as you're going through this, you get on this travel club. But this travel club over here, somebody's whispering in your ear, hey, come over to us. We're better than them. We're bigger than them. We have more resources. We got better coaching. But do you show loyalty over here? Because that's what you're trying to teach your kids. That's who you are. You don't just jump around. If you are on the team and you're starting and some new kid comes in and they take your kid's spot, do you tell your kid, hey, we're moving off of this because we got this short window? Or do you say, no, we're going to sit here and we're going to fight back, we're going to persevere, and we're going to work harder so we can get there? But you may never get there. Did you just mess your kid up? But did you sacrifice that so that they learned a lesson of you got to go harder, you got to train harder? But maybe the way that team plays, your kid is not the kid for that position. That new kid is. Do you move? Because you got invitations over here. You go try out over here. You get invited to that big club from your medium, small club that you and your kid is the star. Your kid is the glue there. You're in with all the parents. Your kid has all these friends over there, but the big club is calling your name. You know if you get there, you're going to get more, better, high-level exposure, high-level training. If you leave this club over here, they're going to fall apart. I won't say they fall apart, but they're going to drop down. But right now, they can compete with that big club when you guys go out there. What do? Do you go over here for the benefit of your kid? And are you telling your kid, hey, if something better comes along, forget those people that you've sort of made promises. You know, no one's promised anything. But instead of being dedicated and being a person of your word, so to speak, do we just move because this benefits us over here? What do? And I'm not judging anybody, because you're going to do what you're going to do. And at that moment, you got to make that choice. You got to make that choice. But these are the things that your kids are watching you. So this is life, right? This is life happening. How are they going to behave later on when they're at work, or they have an opportunity to make some money over here, but they've got to abandon these people over here? You guys have all worked over here, but if I go over here, we can move this thing forward a little bit faster. What do? Do you persevere? Do you stick it out? Well, you know what? When my parents, when I was younger, they just told me, hey, sometimes you got to do what you got to do and you got to move. And I'm not judging. I'm just saying these are the things you have to do. That's that integrity, because you're building character for your kids while you're trying to navigate this world that you may not be familiar with. It is very, very, very difficult to do everything right. And I don't think anybody does. So that's why I want to say I just want you guys to be aware that you're doing multiple things at the same time. So the whole youth sports tenet and why we play and all that stuff, that's one thing. Your kid navigating this world that's sort of opaque, you never really get an answer. For all these years I've been doing this, no one can tell me, how does a kid get an athletic scholarship? How do you guarantee this 5-year-old that's pretty talented, how do you guarantee they're going to get an athletic scholarship? Nobody knows, because at some point a coach is going to have to pick you and invite you to come play for them. You have to be chosen. How do you make the starting on the high school team? You may be better than 3, 4, 5, 6, a majority of the starters, but you don't get that chance. Is it your attitude? Is it your parents' attitude. People don't just want to deal with you, or your grade, you're too young, and the coach goes by seniority. I don't know what all the reasons, I don't know what all the answers are. When you get to high school, do you transfer to the other school across town because you're really good? You're holding the glue. I went through that with my daughter. We have another high school, especially for girls basketball, that if she went there, everybody on that team went D1. And my daughter's over there, and they're asking her to come. Now, back then, if you switch, you have to sit out a year, so it was a little bit easier for her to make that call. But I was making the call anyway, and everybody's on my case. And I could have blown it, and I don't know what's going to happen. But what I always have in the back of my head is that these are the things that no matter what decisions you make in life, that you don't know what the result's going to be. Maybe you go over there and you don't make it. Maybe you get hurt. Maybe somebody else comes in. I don't know what's going to happen over there. Or maybe it turns out perfect. Maybe you go to this college, because she did get the D1 scholarship, so we didn't have to pay for her to go to college. Maybe she goes to that college and it's terrible for her. She got in this great school. Everything looks good. Everybody on the outside is giving you congratulations, but your daughter or your son, they don't like it. It doesn't fit them. Do you tell them to stick it out then because you're getting a free ride? All of these things, so you sacrifice your kid to save the money because in your mind, it'll be okay. You just gotta, you just gotta persevere. You just gotta be there for a little while. So is that what you do for your kid? Is that what you're telling your kid to do later on? And then you go there, and the reason this is really important at this point in time, and this one I'm doing October 2025, late October. If you look at society the way it is going right now, all the loyalty you've been doing, all that playing by the rules is getting people nowhere. People are getting fired left and right. All these services and things that people have been getting through all these years that they've come to rely on, it's just been there. It's all being pulled away. All of those safety nets, everything is just sort of falling apart on everybody. And so the thought process has to change now, but it can't go to survival of the fittest, survival of me over everybody else. If we do that, we're going to lose everything. And so now we've got to start thinking these things through. But the other reason I'm bringing all this stuff up is that professional sports, we get it. Money is everywhere, it's flowing. But now that's come down to the collegiate level. There's millions of dollars your kid can make at the collegiate level. And it's going to trickle down to high school, and then it's going to later on come down. They're going to try to find these special kids earlier and earlier and earlier. The pressure is going to be on you more and more and more. How are you going to handle it? What are you going to do? If your kid has that piece of talent and you start moving through and people try to block you, or people get in your way, or people are jealous, or people are this, how are you going to navigate all of this stuff? Plus make sure your kid maintains their character and who they are and your family code as they move through this thing without getting wiped out and being have to be wrapped up and put away in a mental institution somewhere. How are you going to do all this? So these are the things I kind of want you guys to think about. And it's one of the reasons I developed AthleticSOS to kind of help you navigate that. That part is fine. But why I always, whenever I'm doing these talks, I always talk about this is the athletic piece. That's all that stuff we just talked about. You got to navigate that. I can't help you on everything. I can tell you how I did it and how situations made me go. But I never had to break any of my, what I consider my integrity pieces. I did things based on where we were financially, what we won't do. And I tell this story all the time that we went to go visit one of the colleges that wanted my daughter. And when we got there, some of the kids, remember I told you she played at that really high level when she all the way up into the 6th grade. Some of the kids from that, because we're all kind of in the same neighborhood, had badmouthed my daughter at that school. And the coach told me, the coach that walked us around, they said, be careful who you're dealing with, because some people came up here and said some really negative things about your daughter. And they told us who it was. And I was not heartbroken, but I was flabbergasted. Those people would go through that to do it. And it ended up hurting them. They didn't get to go there either. And we didn't end up going there at the same time. But because of that competitiveness, I don't even think those parents were necessarily, I won't say they weren't trying to hurt her, but I think they were just trying to help their kid. Because this is the position. And I told you guys before, my daughter played point guard. So that's a very rare position. It's very hard to get that. You don't know that, but they can only have so many of those. You know, they want general, your forwards, your centers. Those are more important pieces. And then you get one point guard and then you get another one to back them up to replace them later. And then you bring another one in. So it's not that many of those. But all of that being said is that people that you know, people that are standing right in front of you will do things. And these aren't bad people. And in fact, to this day, we still talk to these people and it's fine. But in the back of my head, it's always there. Now, my wife's a little less forgiving than I am, but I just go, you know what, people are going to do what they're going to do. But all I'm trying to get to is, if I would never have done that. It wouldn't even occur to me to even bring anybody else up, because if they get it, they get it. That's good for them, and we're going to keep moving. So these are the things that I kind of think are important. And I don't even know if that's going to, register with their kids later on. That's not my point for this whole video. I probably shouldn't even brought that up. But I just want you to understand is you got to hold something, some sort of code of conduct that your kids are watching you, and that's going to bleed into your grandkids and their kids and so on and so on and so on. So it's who do you want to be? Who are you? What kind of people you are? So if you have more opportunities, and that's this side over here, I'm giving you AthleticSOS, so that'll help you navigate some of this stuff. But over here, what are you doing while your kid is playing sports? Whether because they're getting more and more access. The better your kid is, and you go through all these different levels, your kid's getting more access to better training. They're going to have better practices. They're going against better people. They're meeting all these other kids from all these other backgrounds. This is where your kid's going to these different places. What are you doing there? What does your kid like to do outside of the sport? Are you guys taking advantage of that while you're traveling around? There's places that they need to see, places they need to go. You need to make sure that all of that is being done. And if you get this part right and this part right, you just won the game. You might get to high school, your kid plays varsity, they're really good, and they never get that athletic scholarship. But you didn't just waste 5 through 17 trying to get to the collegiate level. You didn't get there, and it was all a failure. It was all for naught. You took advantage of everything that went along with this. This is the piece that I'm trying to really, really get people to go with. That you start building up what I call assets, the people that you know, that your kid knows, the way that they behave as a star athlete at their school. For the kids that aren't, that they're making friends, that they're giving, they're taking their gravitas that they get at being this great athlete to help other people. Because when you're in the youth level, you can transfer some of your coolness, your like I said, gravitas onto other people and change their lives. And they remember that. And that's the kind of person you become. And then you work with other people and you try to do your best. Sometimes you don't get there. You may have to move or you stay there. You guys decide on all that stuff. But as you develop your kid in this world, this is a very special world. I said so many people that go, well, sports and athletics, it's good, but it's academics, it's all that. And now as that's starting to fall apart, I can't tell you, I'm in IT. I was in IT for 30 plus years. Plus, I built my own software company here. That's dying too. We all know about AI and it can write code. Now you got to know what you're doing to get it right, but you don't have to be as smart as you was. You guys, everybody that's listening to me right now, in 6 months, you could be an expert using IT, take some other lessons on coding and stuff like that, and you could be just as good as somebody who's been doing this for 20 plus years. At least getting something that you want out. What you have to have is ideas, and you're going to have people you work with. This is where I'm trying to get with you guys for this youth sports thing. Being able to collaborate with other people to get people to be trustworthy so that people know that you're a trustworthy person or your kid's a trustworthy person. Those are the people, these other people that are doing things, that are moving and shaking, their parents have access, they have stuff. Those people are going to want your kid to be with them. And it's just because that's who your kid is. That's who your family is. That's where we're trying to get to. Anyway, I've overrun this thing probably a million times. But youth sports, very important. How do you maintain your integrity all the way through this and not lose out at the end because you were a little bit too much of integrity, right? You never did anything. You never pushed for your kid to get to the front of the line. You never went around back, even if you have, because once you have access, it starts to happen for you automatically. People want you around. Their kids want your kid around. That's when you won the game. That is the game. So anyway, hopefully you guys get there. I hope you guys keep on rocking with me. I just wanted to get this out because I think the times are very difficult, everybody. Nobody knows quite how to do this. And especially if you're a parent that didn't go through it yourself, you don't get it. It doesn't make sense. It just feels like something is off here or there. And I need to make these moves and everybody's pulling and tugging you and you trusting this coach or this advisor or this parent over here that's always been cool with you. And they're telling you, hey, why don't you go do this? But is it to your kid's advantage? Is it to your advantage? Did you just step on somebody else to climb up the next ladder? Is that okay? I'm again, this is not a judgment thing, but keep in mind, whatever you're doing here, your child's watching you. They're watching everything that you're doing, and this is going to be their modus operandi as they move forward. Is that what you want? And if it is, if you're okay with it, it's just the way the world is, more power to you. But that's just the way it is. Okay, I'm off of it now, and then next week we're going to talk a little bit more about what changes are being made, and especially at the high school level, and some of the things you guys need to take heed of as far as the NCAA, and especially not just NCAA Division I, but what about Division II, Division III? What about NAIA? What's happening around in there, and what do you need to navigate to make sure that you get somewhere or you're going to play at that other level. There's a lot of kids that quit playing when they didn't have to. They could have still got a scholarship. And again, if you get an athletic scholarship and you play at the collegiate level, everything we just talked about for the youth level from 5 to 17, it multiplies if you get a collegiate level. And we'll talk about a little bit more about that as we move on. All right, guys, as always, best of luck to you in everything that you do, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye.